Hello, my name is Diane, and today I want to talk about some of the bookish goals I have for myself for 2023. I've never really been one for setting resolutions because they just feel very kind of cookie cutter and nobody really sticks to them. I guess goals just makes it feel more like you're working on it and you're doing it and you're going to achieve a thing, and resolution just sounds too passive, I guess. Goals sounds like you're striving towards something, and resolutions just sounds like, saying you're sorry and not changing your behavior. And I don't want to say I'm sorry, I just want to change my behavior. So while I have a few creative goals, I just want to talk about the specifically book-related ones today. My first bookish goal for the year is to read 52 books. I like setting 52 as my number because a book a week feels like a pretty substantial amount of reading, especially if I'm reading longer books because I read things of all different lengths. But it also feels like it's very attainable because if I feel like I'm getting behind or just having a slump, I can pick up something shorter. But then if I'm, taking 3 weeks to read a 1,000-page book, I don't feel like I'm that far behind if I'm trying to hit like 100-book goal or something even larger. So 1 book a week for me feels like 52 books in a year is a good amount of books, but it's also not an overwhelming number that all year long I'm going to feel like I'm not going to be able to reach that goal. My second goal is to finish series when I start them. As a fantasy reader and also a graphic novel reader, it's very easy to start a lot of series, but it's a lot harder to finish them, especially when you don't always know how long a series is going to go on for when you pick it up. I did my best to decrease the number of series I was currently reading last year, and I feel like I'm at a pretty manageable point in that series. I'm probably going to DNF a few more as I go along, just as I lose interest in things that I'm not really excited to pick up. I'm probably gonna just kind of set aside, and if I change my mind and think of them later, I can always put them back on my TBR, but for now, I'm really just trying to keep the series that I'm actually excited about starting and continuing on my TBR. Some of my priority series for this year are The Broken Empire and also The Book of the Ancestor by Mark Lawrence. I've read the first book in both of these trilogies and I really liked both of them, so I'm really eager to get through them, and not just to finish them, but because I'm really invested in the characters and the world and want to know what happens. Also, A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. I've really loved the beginning of this series, and there's just so many things going on, and I love stories like that where there's lots of characters, lots of things happening. It's not all big action-packed things, but it's all kind of significant things happening. Also, The First Law by Joe Abercrombie. I read the first book of that, and I've so far really liked his writing. And Ender's Saga by Orson Scott Card. I loved Ender's Game a lot more than I expected to, and I'm really interested to see where that story goes because it's a pretty big series. It's 2 parallel series that, from my understanding, are very closely related, but they come together for the final book. My third goal is to read through the rest of my physical TBR. I only have about 35 books, including fantasy, classics, and nonfiction, which I don't have a very large book collection. I moved around a lot and books are heavy, so I tend to offload them frequently if I don't love the book anymore. I also try not to buy books until after I've read them and loved them, unless I have no other way to read them. So my collection is fairly small, but I've had some books like The Dwarves by Marcus Heights, The Once and Future King by T.H. White, and The Black Company by Glenn Cook on my shelves for quite a while, and I just tend to not prioritize books on my shelves because I feel like I can read them whenever I want to. 35 books kind of feels like a lot compared to my goal of 52, but it's really not that big a number, and I'd like to be able to say I've read everything that I own, and I actually know that I like everything that's on my shelves, not just I hope I'll like it, or it sounds kind of cool, but I don't actually know anything about it. My fourth goal is to be more reasonable with my reading plans. I tend to set overly ambitious TBRs and then just kind of ignore them and mood read my way through the month, which doesn't always veer too far from what I've planned for myself, but sometimes I get a little too overly ambitious, and when I'm trying to finish everything on my TBR, it feels a little overwhelming. So I want my TBRs every month to be attainable and not overwhelming. It should be something I can realistically achieve and not a challenge to myself. But between my own TBR, I just got a second library card, so that's really opened up a lot more books that my local library didn't have available are available at this other library, so I have access to a lot more things, and it's made it like a kid in a candy shop. I just want to get all of them all at once, but I know I can't read all of them. I can only read so many books within a 2-week period. I can't just take out 20 books and get through them all. I wish I could, but I can't. My fifth goal is to interact more with the book community, because while we call it a community, that kind of implies that everyone's interacting with each other and supporting each other, and I think this is a very supportive, welcoming community within the realm of the internet. But as much as I feel involved in the book community, I don't engage with other people very often. It's very nerve-wracking to me to leave comments on people's things, to respond to other people's thoughts and opinions online, to just start chatting with people on Discord, even replying to comments that I receive online. And that's just a reflection of my history with being online and being on the internet. And there are some really cool, nice people on the internet just trying to talk to people about the things that they like I am. I don't think I'm ever going to be fully extroverted, even behind a screen, but I would like to reach out more and engage with other people more and just make some more book friends, because all we really want is to just talk about books with each other. So if nothing else, we have that in common. So those are my 5 book-specific goals. I do also want to start writing more regularly again. I kind of put my big writing project on a very extended, unintentional hold last year, and I really want to get that back into my routine because it's something I think about a lot and do really want to finish and still really care about, but I just need to prioritize making time for it. And then I have a few other personal goals that I'm not really gonna get into. Kind of just the general getting my life together, incorporating some better habits back into my routine that I've fallen out of the habit of doing regularly. So those are my goals for the year. Let me know if you have any goals, especially book ones. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.